Hello and welcome to the Daily Debate. I'm Mohammed Abdelmenem. Today we'll talk about economic performance in Egypt, especially inflation rates. When inflation rates drop down, that's good news for everybody. The good news is inflation rates dropped in February in Egypt for the fourth consecutive time. That's according to official statistics. For the first time, we are at 12.5%. That's the inflation rate in Egypt in last February. Egypt is targeting 10% inflation rate by the beginning of 2026. What does that mean for the Egyptian economy? What does that mean and its effect on rates for interest rates, consumers, prices, its effect on economic performance in Egypt? That's our topic for tonight. We'll start with the top stories. Let's start with our first top story. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi held phone talks with Kuwaiti Emir Sheikh Mash'al al-Hamad al-Jaber al-Sabah on Tuesday. Presidential spokesman Mohammed al-Shenawi said that during the telephone conversation, President al-Sisi stressed the strength and depth of historical ties binding the two peoples. For his part, the Kuwaiti Emir expressed appreciation for the strong bilateral relations and keenness to expand the cooperation in all fields. Al-Shenawi said the talks also tackled regional developments as the two sides condemned the latest Israeli strikes in Gaza, which have left around 413 Palestinians dead, mostly women and children. They stressed that Israeli strikes constitute a flagrant violation of international law and the ceasefire deal reached in January. President al-Sisi and Sheikh al-Sabah agreed that the aggression aims to make the Gaza Strip an unsuitable land for living in order to displace its people. Both sides warned against the continued aggression by Israel and its humanitarian repercussions, which they warned would lead to the expansion of regional feuding and the blocking of chances for peace and stability in the Middle East. They called on the international community to shoulder its responsibility to push for an immediate ceasefire and implementing a two-state solution. Prime Minister Madbouli and Minister of Planning, Economic Development and International Cooperation Rania Al-Mashat launched an integrated national financing strategy on Tuesday. This strategy is a roadmap aimed at unlocking innovative, sustainable funding for national priorities and is aimed at achieving sustainable development in all fields, encourage the private sector for more investments. This was the launch of the Comprehensive National Strategy for Financing in Egypt. Minister Al-Mashat and the UN Resident Coordinator also addressed the launch. Speakers said the strategy was laid down to provide a more integrated system for sustainable funding. They tackled the role of the UN in developing and implementing this strategy and developing the mechanisms for sustainable financing. So it's time for our first report for today. Let's watch it together. We'll be back after it. Stay tuned.
Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli announced that the government aims to reduce inflation to 10% by 2026, following a decline to 12.5% in February, the lowest rate in 3 years. Speaking at his weekly press conference, Madbouli said the drop in inflation confirms that Egypt is on the right track and that recent economic reforms, despite their challenges, are beginning to yield results. He noted that Egypt has not seen this level of inflation since March 2022, with the decrease reflected in the stability and lower prices of key commodities including food, vegetables and fruits. Madbouli also said he holds regular discussions with the Central Bank of Egypt governor, signaling that changes in interest rates are expected as inflation continues to decline. He reassured citizens that foreign currency resources are stable, highlighting the recent increase in foreign reserves and confirming that there are no outstanding dollar payment arrears. He said the total amount of hot money exiting Egypt recently accounted for no more than 7 to 8% of the total market funds, adding that the hot money that left Egypt is unrelated to the primary sources of Egypt's reserves. Madbouli asserted that foreign currency reserves within Egypt remain stable, ensuring the security of the state's primary needs, and that a comprehensive and transparent tax policy will be unveiled within a month. He further affirmed that there will be a clear strategy to bolster exports. Madbouli reassured that the country's economic conditions are stable, with reserves sufficient to cover the next 8 months. According to the Prime Minister, adjustments to the initial public offering program will be made in response to evolving global circumstances. Dismissing speculations about the sale of airports, Madbouli emphasized the state's objective to enhance airport efficiency and operations through collaborations with specialized global firms. He also stressed the significance of technical education and highlighted that advanced nations allocate over 50% of their education to technical training, underscoring its importance for Egypt's future. Madbouli also affirmed that labor law stands as a legislative priority crucial for the state in the foreseeable future. He announced the Cabinet's decision to hold bi-weekly meetings to monitor the progress of projects under Decent Life Initiative and clarified that the goal is to complete the initiative's first phase and prepare for launching the second phase in fiscal year 2025-2026.
Welcome back. When inflation rates drop down, that's good news for everybody. According to official statistics in Egypt, for the 4th consecutive time in February, inflation rate dropped to 12.5% last February in Egypt, and that's good news for everybody. And Egypt is targeting 10% inflation rate by the beginning of 2026. And Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli stressed that the stability, or talked about the stability of dollar reserves, and also talked about inflation index that has witnessed an unprecedented decline to 12.5% in February. To talk about inflation rates in Egypt, how far that affects interest rates and prices in Egypt and economy in general, we're honored to be joined by Dr. Amr Hamid, Professor of Economics. Thanks for being with us.
It's my pleasure.
Well, Dr. Amr, let's start with this figure, 12.5% inflation rate. Can we say this is a real figure? Does it really reflect the performance of Egyptian economy?
Okay, before answering your very interesting question, let me start by saying that no human being can speak today without expressing the deep anger and distress as a result of what happened today in Gaza. And I think we should all on air commit Israel for the crimes committed today.
Yes.
After stating this, let me go back to your question. And when we speak about the interest rate is an economic device that could be good for some people.
You mean inflation rate?
Inflation rate.
Yes.
Inflation rate. So,
yes.
Yeah, the inflation rate could be good because it's reflected in the interest rate, by the way. The inflation rate is very much related to the interest rate.
Yes.
When you have a high inflation, then usually the interest rate goes up. So if I say that we are going down from below 30% to 12.5%, it's for the people in general, it's a good sign. But we have to realize something, that we cannot just say inflation rate in general. because inflation rate is the price of consumer goods, which is maybe bread, butter, oil, beans for Egyptians, basic food. But at the same time, we should always look at something very important for Egypt, for the Egyptians, which is, for example, transportation cost.
Yes.
So yes, the basic products like wheat, like bread, like basic food for the limited income part of the economy, it's good. But
Yes.
at the same time, if we look at the transportation cost, it is still going up and up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of the rise in oil and gas.
Exactly, because of the rise in oil and gas, and this from an inflation standpoint did not go down. So that's why, as an economist, I should really go deep into the analysis and not just clap and say, yes, I'm very happy because inflation is going down. That's not always the case. But in general, yeah, I would agree with you that it's considered, yes, a success to go down from almost 30% to below 15%. Yes, this is a positive sign, but we have to look much deeper into, as you just said, the price of energy, which is not going down.
So can we say that inflation rate is a kind of compromise between high-priced commodities and low-priced commodities, so we get like a range or something like this?
That is still correct, but again, let's go into the type of commodity.
Yes.
As I explained, food is a type of commodity,
Yes.
okay, which is very important. But energy is another type of commodity that is also very important. And what we disregard as the public in general, but we regard very deeply as economists, is what we call the unemployment. What is the effect of the inflation on unemployment? And this is why I started at the beginning by relating inflation to interest rate. Because when the inflation means it's going to be reflected on the interest rate. High inflation, high interest rate. Everybody is happy to put their deposit in the bank at high interest rate.
Yes, and we saw that in the last couple of years.
Exactly, but what happened to the business? Are they happy when the interest rate is high?
No.
Of course not, because their cost of production, it becomes much higher. So the idea is it's a device that is not always very happy when it's high or it's low. Of course, if it goes beyond a certain percentage, is bad. I mean, any inflation beyond, let's say, 22% is bad. Yeah, but if we target 12.5% and we reach 12.5%, in general, yeah, I would still consider it a positive sign, but we should go much deeper into this, especially into basic products such as energy products in general, natural gas, for example, transportation, because it has reflected not only on you and me driving our cars, but also on the people that use the public transportation.
Okay, talking of unemployment rates, also they declined in the last couple of months. How can you explain that? Is it one kind of effect of the decline of inflation rates?
Again, we have to go much deeper into the analysis, because in a country like Egypt, where the population is very high, one of the highest 3 countries in Africa in terms of population, 105 million, let's say, or a little bit even more, besides the foreigners like the Syrians and the Sudanese and other nationalities that live in Egypt, it's very important to separate between unemployment and underemployment.
Okay, what's the difference?
Unemployment is people that are not working, so they are unemployed. But underemployment is the millions of Egyptians that work for the government, for example, and they are supposed to work from, let's say, from 9 to 3 or 9 to 4, and they only work 1 or 2 hours every day. So this is underemployment.
Okay.
So am I clear of the difference?
Yes.
Yeah. So in Egypt, frankly speaking, I don't think we really have a serious problem of unemployment, but we have a very serious problem of underemployment.
Okay.
In a lot of, but at the same time, the private sector is sort of remedying this dilemma, if I may say, because they take another job. So
I think we don't have underemployment in the private sector. It's only in government sector.
Of course, yeah, that's very true to a great extent, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very true. But we still have millions, although the government succeeded in reducing the number of employees,
Yes.
public sector, public servants, but still, we still have few millions working for the government, and this is a sector of underemployment. Another sector that reflects underemployment is the sector of the construction, for example. In the construction sector, you find a lot, and here I'm speaking about the workers.
Yes.
The very low level of workers in the construction sector, and these people, you find them, you see them, I see them standing there in the streets waiting to be employed.
Yes.
But maybe they work 1, 2, 3 days, and 2 or 3 other days in the week they are not working.
They just work on daily basis.
Exactly, yeah.
Yes.
And this is unemployment also.
Okay.
Unemployment is also the millions of servants at home, mainly ladies working, serving at home, in your place, in my place, and so on, and their husbands are not working, staying at home and maybe going to the coffee shop at night, smoking or whatever, but who pays for this? It's the wife.
Well, concerning underemployment, do you think the government has done its job providing training and opportunities and microeconomy projects for that category?
Yes and no.
Yes and no?
Yeah.
Okay. Tricky.
If you take it face value, yes.
Okay.
But if you would have done the trip that I've just done a few weeks ago to Upper Egypt before Ramadan, and I just took a trip from Cairo to Aswan, driving, actually. I came back by aeroplane, but I took it driving over 2 days from Cairo to Aswan. You will be surprised if you go to Upper Egypt and watch with your eyes the number of people unemployed in Upper Egypt in front of you everywhere. You will be really, to me it was, I don't want to say a shock, but it was a shock. Which is not the case in Cairo, for sure. It is not the case in Alexandria, for sure. The government has done a good job maybe in Cairo, in Alexandria. Asyut, because it's a rich governorate, and the same is true also for Mansoura, another rich governorate.
Luxor and Aswan are very
Luxor
famous
is a
for...
bit, no, let's take Luxor
for
and Aswan
tourism
out.
and-
Of course, you're speaking about a very rich 2 governorates. They depend on tourism, which is still seasonal, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, but Luxor and Aswan are off the record.
Okay.
But let's speak of south of Sohag,
Okay.
up till Aswan, the rest of Aswan. I'm not speaking about Aswan where you see the monuments, the touristic part.
All right.
But go south of Aswan or north of Aswan, Luxor is a bit different, of course.
I understand.
Yeah, but the
but
rest-
if we talk about Upper Egypt governorates, I understand there have been mega projects in Bani Suef and other Upper Egypt.
Bani Suef is a disaster. But I was in Bani Suef.
There's been lots of electronic mega projects there.
It's only in the project, inside the project. The
Yes.
project itself in Bani Suef of the Korean company, if you remind me
Yes,
the name.
yes, of course.
Al Arabi,
Yes.
which has this Korean company, Samsung. Yes, true. But this is like an island in the middle of Bani Suef. I mean, from the
So we need more work.
from the south of Egypt till Asyut, it's not good at all. And then
Okay.
Asyut is different because it happens to be a very rich governorate. And then south of Asyut till Sudan, you only have Luxor and Aswan, the cities. So that's, and then the delta is much better than the south, than the Upper Egypt. That's very true. But still, Mansoura is a different case. Mansoura is a very productive governorate. But the rest is, it's not as bad as Upper Egypt, but still, the concentration of, to answer your question, the concentration of the government vis-à-vis these fighting unemployment is very good maybe in Cairo, Alexandria, Port Said, the very big cities, but the rest of Egypt, there is a lot to take place.
Okay.
Let me just apologize, because as you know, I happen to be an economist, and we're very realistic. We are not politicians, so we are maybe
There's
we look
nothing
a bit,
to apologize
a bit
for.
gloomy, but this is what economics is all about.
But that will take us to the next question.
Yeah, of course.
If we talk about the reduction of inflation rates to 12.5% and working to get it to 10% by 2026, which is very close, how far that will help Egypt, the Central Bank of Egypt, reduce its interest rates, and how far that will help projects and investments, whether direct or indirect investments?
Are you speaking about foreign direct investment or direct investment?
Direct and indirect investments.
Foreign or not foreign?
Foreign.
Yeah, foreign direct investment. When it comes to foreign direct investment, I have a statistic here that Egypt is number 27 compared to the whole world.
Worldwide.
Worldwide, when it comes to FDI, foreign direct investment.
Okay.
In Africa, we are number 1, by the way, which is good, but still Africa is the poorest continent on earth. We're not. But
that's good news.
Yeah, okay, of course, it's good news. That's very true. But we're number 27.
Okay.
If you ask me my opinion, where should Egypt be when it comes to FDI? I think we should be among maybe the biggest. If I'm trying to be moderate, biggest maybe 15, but for sure not 27. So when it comes to FDI, foreign direct investment means trust and confidence. And this is something that reflects on people, foreigners, moving their capital from wherever it is in the whole world into another country and putting it there for a long term. Because if it's not long term, then we speak about what's called hot money.
Hot money, yeah.
And I'm not interested. Well, no, sorry. Let me withdraw this. Yes, I am interested in hot money, but I would not rely on it.
But we suffered a lot from hot money before. I mean, and a couple of years ago, when everybody, flied away.
Of course, that's why I withdrew my statement. The hot money is okay.
So you have to be careful. We have to be careful with hot money.
Exactly, you have to be.
So back to long-term investments. Do you think low interest rates could be a good sign for building trust for foreign direct investment?
To a certain extent, yes, of course, because there is a direct relationship between the confidence in the economy in general. I'm not speaking about Egypt here.
Yes.
Anywhere. When the interest rate goes down, this is a sign of a strong economy in general. And when it goes up, this is a reflection of non-stability.
Okay.
So when this is something basic. Any country on earth that is solid economically, you will find the interest rate, let's say 2%, 3%, that's a solid economy. In some economies at some point in time, maybe not these days, but the interest rate was 0%, like Switzerland in the past, like some of the Scandinavian countries in the past. The interest rate is almost 0%. Can you imagine this? So this is a sign of strength. And strength means confidence. So yes, I would like to see the interest rate going down, but the consumer, what we call from a banking terminology, what they call retail banking, will not be happy because they want to see high interest rate so that they put their deposit in the bank and they will collect better interest. So it's good for business, of course, but for the individuals, it's not always good.
So what should banks do when interest rates go down? As for banks?
Establish confidence. Because the interest, even if it goes down and you still don't have confidence in the banking system in general, then even if it goes down, you still have to strengthen the confidence, the trust in the banking system in general. And this is and that's why we need a lot of legal and legislative reforms in our banking system in Egypt till today. We are on the right track, but it still has to come. It still has to come.
Do you believe, Dr. Amr, that banks should go as a main player in investment?
Of course.
Especially when interest rates go down?
Of course, but the problem in Egypt is not the banks. The problem in
But
Egypt,
banks do not play that role.
yeah, but
They
again,
don't much invest
exactly.
in projects.
It's not their mistake. They can play the role, and they are supposed to play and they are ready to play it. The
Yes.
problem is with the central bank, not with the banks.
How?
Because the central bank now is not acting like a central bank. The Central Bank of Egypt is acting like a police officer of the banks. So, and that's not his...
What do you mean?
What I mean is that the only relationship between the central bank and
Okay.
the banks is the World Bank. But the central bank is responsible for something called macroeconomics.
Exactly.
And
I believe
let
the
me finish
role...
the sentence,
Okay,
please.
please.
The central bank is macroeconomics. All the banks is microeconomics.
Okay.
You see, so if you manage the central bank with the mindset of the banks, which is microeconomics, it is exactly like asking a heart surgeon to undertake an eye operation. It's simply because he went to medical school. And this is what's happening.
Uh-huh.
Our central bank governor is maybe the best bank director.
Okay.
Commercial bank director. That's microeconomics. And now he is managing macroeconomics of the country.
Is it the role of the central bank to regulate or be part and player in the game?
Regulate in a very soft way, period. That's all. But to interfere in the day-to-day business of each and every bank, that's not the role of the central bank. Do you want me to give you a surprise?
Yes.
Since the inception of the Fed, the Federal Reserve, which is the Central Bank of America, till today,
Yes.
it was never ever managed by a banker. It's only managed by macroeconomists.
Okay.
Macroeconomists. Bank of England, maybe 10% only were bankers. Bank of Japan, Central Bank of Japan, maybe 10-15%.
So that supports your point of view?
I don't need to support my point of view, it's fact.
Yeah.
It's like we're speaking today together in the studio, we're not sitting on the beach.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Okay.
So now you're asking the best heart surgeon to undertake an eye operation. The previous governor of the central bank, who by the way happened to be originally an economist, he's a graduate of economics, okay, but he never practiced macroeconomics. From day one till he became the governor of the central bank, he was a bank manager, which is microeconomics. And then suddenly he found himself having to undertake a heart operation, which he never did since he graduated. And it took him 7 years to learn macroeconomics, and he failed.
Okay. So we'll go for the next report. Stay tuned. We'll be back after the report.
The Central Agency for Public Mobilization and Statistics, CAPMAS, announced that the annual headline inflation rate dropped in February for the fourth consecutive month to 12.5%, down from 23.2% in January. CAPMAS readings also indicated a monthly inflation decline of 1.4% in February compared to 1.6% in January. The rate is below the 16% projected by the International Monetary Fund for the end of the current fiscal year 2024-2025, which ends on 30th of June. Egypt's annual headline inflation rate recorded 36% during February 2024. The data also showed that Egypt's overall consumer price index reached 246.8 points for February. CAPMAS attributed the significant decline in inflation mainly to a decrease in vegetable prices by 8.2%, coffee, tea and cocoa by 0.2%, and goods and services used in home maintenance by 0.1%. However, prices of water and various home-related services, electricity, gas and other fuel materials were stable despite the increase in prices of grain and bread by 0.8%, meat and poultry by 3.2%, fish and seafood by 0.4%, and dairy products, cheese and eggs by 0.7%. Moreover, prices of oils and fats increased by 0.4%, fruits by 3%, sugar and sugary foods by 0.1%, tobacco by 6.3%, ready-made clothing by 0.6%, cleaning, repair and rental of clothing by 0.3%, shoes by 0.8%, and actual housing rent by 1.1%. Inflation figures are the key macroeconomic indicator according to which the Central Bank of Egypt revises the key interest rates. Annual inflation decelerated less rapidly in the second half of 2024 than in the first half, stabilizing at 24% in January 2025. Similarly, annual core inflation remained broadly stable in the fourth quarter of 2024 and recorded 22.6% in January 2025. Meanwhile, annual food inflation continues to decelerate, recording 20.8% in January 2025, and annual non-food inflation remains around 25.5% on average throughout 2024. This reflects the gradual dissipation of previous shocks. Thus, the CBE kept the interest rates unchanged in its Monetary Committee MPC first meeting of this year at 27.25%, 28.25% and 27.25% for the overnight deposit rate, overnight lending rate and the rate of the main operation respectively. The CBE expected inflation rates to decline substantially in quarter 1 of 2025 due to the cumulative impact of monetary policy tightening and the favorable base point.
Welcome back, Dr. Amr. Talking of Egyptian economy and performance of Egyptian economy, what are the challenges facing Egyptian economy, even though now we're at 12.5% inflation rate, and would that be good news for everybody and for investors?
Okay, you want to speak about challenges facing the Egyptian economy?
Yes.
Okay, then we need maybe 2 days to speak about it. Are you ready for that?
Okay, so let's do it very quickly.
Okay, number one is the high inflation and currency volatility, of course. That's the main challenge facing the Egyptian economy. And as I said,
so now we're 12.5%. Is that still high? And we're targeting 10%.
Well, unfortunately...
Compared to records before.
But still, I really disagree with this figure. Yeah, we're going down from high 20%, but I don't think we're in the 12.5%. Maybe this month, yes, for 1 month.
Okay.
But when I say inflation rate, I need at least a quarter.
A quarter.
Yeah, 3 months to measure it.
Yes.
So even if it's 12 to 15% now, let's wait till next month and see what is going to happen. When it comes to the volatility in the exchange rate, frankly speaking, I am optimistic.
Okay.
And wherever I go, they always ask me this question: where do you expect the dollar to go? And I hear very funny expectations. In my expectations, for this quarter, I think the Egyptian pound will never exceed 51, 52. It might pounds to the dollar. Actually, it might go down even. That's my expectation. But beyond 1 quarter, nobody on earth can give you an estimation in light of all these turbulences in the whole area around us, in the world and domestically. So at the moment, yes, I can give you an estimation of maximum 1 quarter. And I'm telling you, I am optimistic. It will never exceed 52 maximum. This is how I see it. And I would say I'm confident in this. Yes, we are controlling it. And with my reservation about the central bank, but when it comes to controlling somehow the value of the exchange rate of the Egyptian pounds, I think it is under control for the very foreseen short future.
Yeah, so, and I think that's one point would be because of the geopolitical, disturbances in the region.
Yes, yeah, I would say yes, but again, let's not discount the importance of Egypt in spite of what's happening around us, but it is still considered a cornerstone country in the whole area and in all the negotiations. And even I don't want to go into politics, but the Egyptian proposal that was approved by the Arab countries in the last summit, which is
if we talk business, I mean, very few people would come and invest and put money in an area like this with lots of disturbances.
Yeah, that's very true. But still, the importance of the country, the geopolitical position of Egypt is still playing a very important role in maintaining this till now.
Okay.
The population, the 105, 110 million Egyptian, which is, from my opinion, if we play well when it comes to education and health, then it will be a big plus, because it's one of the biggest markets in the area, and it's still a target for a lot of foreign countries. The market is still there, and it's a good plus. What is also a good plus for Egypt in general is that, frankly speaking, the basic infrastructure, the logistics of investment are all there. They are just waiting for someone to press the button. Yeah, I mean, when we speak about industrial zones, for example, we do already have a lot of industrial zones. We have a lot of roads, and we have airports, which still needs development, of course, but it's still much better than other countries in the area. So what I mean, hotels, if you want, because FDI needs foreigners to come and stay in good hotels. Tourism sector, yes, we are to a great extent ready, although the people of the tourism industry believe that they want to increase the number of rooms. But still, I mean, the basic infrastructure is solid in Egypt. So all these things are good indication. But what is important is to establish the trust and the confidence in the whole system.
So that takes us to the challenges back again.
Yeah, again, another very important challenge is, of course, the external debt and financial needs, which is, again, a question mark, but we have to do something about it. It will take a long time really to go deep into this challenge, but it is a challenge till now. I think we're not doing that bad in terms of trying to reduce the external debt. The third challenge, but we already spoke about it, which is the foreign direct investment.
Okay.
We have already exhausted this in our previous analysis. Of course, the trade disruptions and the Suez Canal revenue.
Back again to geopolitical disturbances.
Yes, yeah, and especially with what's happening the last few hours in Yemen, south of the Red Sea, and so on.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just speaking to a friend of mine this morning. Actually, he is in the shipping business, and he was telling me something. It's really a big challenge that he has to transport products from Alexandria to Jabal Ali in the Gulf area. And believe it or not, instead of going from Alexandria, Port Said, Suez Canal, Red Sea to Jabal Ali, he has to go from Alexandria to Tanja in Morocco, and then make all the round Africa to Cape Town, and then all the round of Africa to go to Jabal Ali. And he had to do,
that's a lot of money and time.
Instead of 3-4 weeks, he told me it's, I think, 8 weeks now.
Yeah.
And imagine how much it's going to cost. So this is another big challenge, and I hope it's going to be resolved soon. But this is something that I cannot discuss, because here we speak about something military and strategy that is not really my baby. So another challenge is, of course, the social and climate challenge with the changes that, as I said, the population of Egypt is...
In that field, the Egyptian government has initiatives like, presidential initiatives like Takaful and Karama, and a lot of allocations, a lot of money, a lot of allocated to these initiatives. How far you think that helped most needy classes in Egypt to face inflation, high rates in inflations?
Okay. Two things. First of all, we have to compare our budget, the government budget that goes into education and health. And if you look at it, you will be surprised. Just compare it to any of the developed, not even developed countries, the developing countries. The budget, the percentage of the budget allocated to health and education in Egypt is one of the lowest till today. Till today, if you triple it...
In spite of the fact that they increase every budget, every year.
The problem is that it is not distributed geographically well.
Okay.
Again, as we spoke about a little bit earlier, some of the regions of Egypt are not getting their fair share of these budgets at all.
In spite of the fact that the government always says that they target the most needy areas, they target our people in Upper Egypt and border governorates.
Unfortunately, this is not what I saw in my trip to Upper Egypt. As I said, it was...
So we need more allocations for these areas.
And increase the budget, total budget itself. We speak about 2-3% that goes into health, for example. It should be minimum 7 or 8% of the total budget.
So can we say in governmental initiatives or presidential initiatives like Takaful and Karama and Hayat Karima, do they bridge this gap?
Not yet. Not yet. There is still a lot to be done, and it has to be taken more serious. And I have to say that it has to be, we need experts. It is not really run by the real experts. We need experts to run these programs and give them the free hand to run it, and they have to be dedicated to this objective, not to other objectives. And again, what is very important is the regional or the geographic distribution and increase the budget. It is not enough at all. It is not enough at all. Part of what goes into some of the show business sectors in the economy should be taken from these show business sectors and go into health and education. We are going
What do you mean show business sectors?
Like construction, for example, that is taking like construction in not really wanted now, not an emergency now, because construction is not really a productive sector. A hell of a lot of...
long-term projects, that would be long-term projects.
But it is not productive. It doesn't produce something.
Yeah, because it takes a long time to get revenues.
I am sorry to say that what is very important for any economy to grow even till today, it's industries and agriculture, and maybe in a country like Egypt, maybe tourism, which is not exploited as it is supposed to be. How much is the number of tourists in Egypt till now? 20 million? Egypt should be among the biggest 5 countries on earth when it comes to tourism, for example. And the idea is that the allocation, construction and real estate, I don't agree with the fact that a lot of people, not a lot of people, some of the observers say that we're going into a balloon in real estate. I don't agree with this. But still, it's the real estate is getting a lot of...
But on the other side, and we have only 2 minutes left, on the other side, some analysts would say that construction sector provides lots of work opportunities. And in times like this, where we have disturbances in the region. So you need to provide
but
employment.
It is missing something very important, which is called value added. Construction and real estate does not give something called value added. So this is the... But if you speak about industries, about even telecommunication, about agriculture, about agro-business, they always give you value added on the spot.
So we need to target these sectors, as Dr. Amr Hamid told us now. Dr. Amr Hamid, Professor of Economics, thanks for being with us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.
That's all for now. Thanks for watching. I'm Mohammed Abdel Menaim.